Yep. So, hello and welcome to this weekly happiness Q&A where we discuss happiness using ancient wisdom, science, logic. Every week we discuss everything about life because everything we do in life affects our happiness. Like today, we're discussing how much time we should spend off screen because it's been shown that it affects our happiness. So when I say everything to do with life. In previous shows, I've talked about economic systems, the environment, how do we find meaning? All this stuff is important. And so we've got Len today for the first time. So welcome, Len. Thank you very much.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you for being here. Len will be discussing what he knows about life and happiness and things from his understanding, which of Christianity. He's given me a list of his influences. So Christianity, esoteric spirituality, astrology, meditation, Kabbalah, Hermetic studies, and the law of attraction. I myself have got a lot of different influences, and when Len has a go at talking about how what he thinks, how we should spend off-screen time or not, and all the issues surrounding it, he'll probably give him his own introduction to himself. I myself, where do I come from? So I've been an atheist in the past, so I take that sort of logical way of looking at the world from that background. But then I see myself as a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim. How is that possible? I'll explain that when I give my little 10-minute explanation or my 10-minute thoughts on how should we approach off-screen time, i.e. how much time should we spend on computer screens and with each other and all this kind of stuff. One thing I really want from this show, and part of why I really wanted Len here, is because we both know we don't totally agree with each other. And nowadays, there isn't enough of people talking to each other nicely, with love, from different perspectives. And that's something I just like to demonstrate is definitely possible. And we need to have people from different perspectives talking to each other with respect, with love. And I think that's the only way we're going to have some sort of unity and make progress. Those are my thoughts on that. What we should just put, the format will be roughly this, that Len's going to have a go at talking about off-screen time for 10 minutes, and I'll do that for 10 minutes, and then we'll be open to any questions about life and happiness from the public. So you can ask questions in the live chat, and then what will happen is whatever question you have, Len will have a go at answering it for 3 minutes, and then I'll have a go at answering it for 3 minutes. So we've got equal amounts of time, and I think that's enough of an intro. So Len, how do you feel like? Do you want to have a go at talking about off-screen time for 10 minutes? And my daughter, who's in control center, as it were, 8-year-old daughter, she's going to be setting the timer and things like that. I'm usually terrible at all these things, so let's see if she can do any better. So Suntas, go for it, set the timer, go for it, Len.
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much for coming. And great to have you tonight with us. We are people, we are diverse. It's one of the things that's wonderful about this planet. We come from different backgrounds. We explore different paths, and it's all good. The journey may be different. The destination is the same. Yes, it's true that we live in an age with technology where there's a lot of people on screens and screens glued to faces. We never grew up that way. In the era we grew up in, we were all kids playing around with other kids in the streets and the people next door, and you used to have your buddies that you hang out with. And that's how we pretty much influenced each other, grew from each other, and That's the type of world we come from. That world seems to have now disappeared. It's not there anymore. Even if you watch television, you see families having dinner together in restaurants and public places. They're all sitting with an iPhone or an iPad or something glued to their faces, and the conversations we would normally have at a dinner time seems to have gone down the drain. Those things just don't happen. And I think it's important for us as families to realize that certain rules are there to help us. For instance, we have a thing where when it's dinner time, we don't have a phone. You can eat dinner, you can talk face to face, discuss ideas, discuss what's happened with you during the day, exchange ideas. And that's pretty much a very important part of our day, our practice. We make time to put the phones aside, to put the gadgets aside, and catch up on a face-to-face basis. Now, there are certain things I've learned personally over time, and some of you may have found that yourself, and that is that if you spend your evenings stared to a screen, an iPhone or an iPad or whatever the gadget it is you are playing with, it saps your energy. It drains your energy. Energy goes where, or attention goes where energy flows. So anything that you give your attention to on a screen is something that will drain your energy. You end up going to bed tired. You wake up in the morning tired. Many of us are young people still at school. Some of us are probably in the working world. You end up going tired to an office space, an office place where you have to go and spend a day at work. And there have to be things in place that you may want to implement in order to help you not live in this way. I have found meditation to be a very powerful way to not or to restore, replenish your drained energy. Meditation is through the breathing exercises, and you virtually visualize yourself surrounded by white light, what we call in Hindu terms prana. And as you breathe in, you absorb that prana, that energy, that light, and you visualize yourself being filled with that light, and that helps to re-energize you. So you build up your own personal power, as it were, in that way, and you will feel energized after a meditation session of doing this kind of meditative breathing or mindful breathing, as they call it. Another thing that I find very useful about life in general is about learning to set your intention, and you can do so by even drinking a glass of water. Now, I wake up as a practice every morning, and I take a glass of water, a few drops of lemon juice in it, and I set my intent. I literally visualize my hands over the water, visualize light coming from the water as I say and I speak over the glass of water. I set my intent in this glass of water to have a full productive day, to have a great day, to have a joyful day, and then you down that glass of water. So you set your intent. You live deliberately by setting your intent for what it is you want to achieve on a day-to-day basis. Other things you can do to help you restore the energy that is drained from spending time on screens is with walks in nature, parks, woodlands, bodies of water. If there's a river, a stream, a lake, a dam nearby, a canal, or some trees, go take a walk, and make sure you breathe, absorb the energy, visualize yourself breathing in the energy around you. There's a lot of energy, light energy around natural places like trees, woodlands, gardens. Sometimes even a garden center offers that opportunity. You can go there on a Saturday or Sunday with your family and take a walk through a garden center. I always treat myself afterwards with a nice cup of coffee in the garden center cafe. Good idea. So you learn to do your setting intention, your breathing, raising your vibration with positive thinking positive thoughts. Some people are born to complain, and I tend to not like to hang out with people complain because I do find their energy draining as well. But when you feel chat rooms, I find incredibly difficult sometimes. I've just given up administering a Facebook group recently where the toxicity of the group became so that I could no longer be a part of that. I had to say, I'm giving up this group to another person to manage. I can't be a part of this anymore. It's just not vibrational match for me anymore. And I tend to walk away from that. So if you feel you are in a toxic environment on a screen, especially chat rooms can be really toxic sometimes, walk away, turn around. You deserve better. You don't be dragged into any of that. You don't deserve that. Another thing that I find that helps us to what we call raise your vibration is the art of gratitude, being grateful for the simple things in life, whether it's having a loving family, whether it's having a nice meal to sleep, a job to go to, friends that you can rely on, and the support that you get from people in your circles. Gratitude for the things that you have in your life as a daily thing is a wonderful way of helping you to raise your vibration. So learning to live with gratitude instead of complaining, big difference to your own vibration. It really makes it easier for people to relate to you, and you will find people will begin to be drawn to you. I want to use the word magnetism. It really produces a magnetism around you that people are drawn to you because you become this light that they can literally psychically scan and see in the dark, and they're drawn to you because you have something they want. And that's an opportunity for you to share that with them. Brilliant stuff, that gratitude. Hanging out with positive people, as I said earlier, even listening to music that is positive by nature, because I do hear sometimes that there's a lot of angry music, rap music, metal music that is really negative. People listen to some music and want to commit suicide. Sometimes it's so depressing or angry. And I find that personally, I tend to like to listen to peaceful, relaxing music, instrumental music, some classical music. I want to use the word new age music, just something peaceful and relaxing, instrumental. There's no words attached because it helps to bring you into a nice, relaxed state. That is the kind of thing that I tend to listen to, and I recommend people listen to something like that. So those are the things I like to do when I'm not on a face stuck to a screen, or my face is not looking at an app or participating in a conversation on a screen, something, because it helps to re-energize me. It helps to build me up. It helps to raise my vibration. So those are the things you can do. You don't necessarily have to always have your face into a screen. And there are lots of things to do in this world that does not require screen time. So yeah, any questions, throw at me. I'll be happy to answer.
Great. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed that, actually. So many things I agree with. I mean, I started off with the introduction that we probably disagree with things, but that's kind of like a backup thing. But we had a brief chat before, and there are so many things we agree with. And of course, we're going to disagree with things, but whatever. So Sundis, do you want to stop the stopwatch or whatever it is, the clock down, and then reset it for me? So I've got my 8-year-old daughter who was really excited about being in control of this show. So let's see. Yeah. So she's got 2 screens. So it's quite tricky to figure out how to get from one screen to the next. Let's see if we can figure out. Yeah. Is it tricky? Let me see. Where is that? I can't even see the mouse actually now. No wonder.
You can't stop that timer.
Yeah. It's probably gonna make a sound. I don't know what's it gonna do. Oh wait, I found it. There it was. Okay.
Hey, done.
All right, and it stopped anyway. All right. Okay. Now you found the pointer. Yeah. So you can start it for me. Go on. Oh, I started already. Never mind. Let's get started. So, my influences, first of all, how could I possibly be influenced by all these different spiritual backgrounds like Buddhism? How could I be influenced by atheism, or maybe I'll call it atheistic logic, Christianity, Judaism, Islam? Because they all seem to be sort of, if you watch TV, they seem to be enemies of each other. But I come from a background, I'm a Muslim, but that is actually, it's a strange faith in one way, because it's one that requires me to accept all other faiths. So I cannot be a Muslim unless I accept Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, who Buddha I believe to be a prophet of God, things like that. And even the sort of the logic that you get with that atheists would say they follow. I think religion and faith should be logical as well. It shouldn't just be somebody says so and therefore you should just believe it. I think it should even be scientific. So, and that's what I intend to do when I'm talking about how to spend less time on screen, and even answering any other questions. So that's my little bit of an intro. The first thing I would like to say about screen time is, actually, I'm not all about shutting it or not doing it at all, because that would be a bit hypocritical, especially since we're doing a live stream using screens. And, you know, the internet is such an amazing thing. So we have to access it through our phone screens or whatever smart TV screens, whatever you call it. So there's definitely huge benefits of it, but it's really about the balance. Because when we get the balance wrong in anything, then we get in trouble. And we've found there is lots of, you know, psychological studies, sociological studies showing how bad spending too much time on screens is for you. So, for example, if you spend too much time on computer games, and especially aggressive computer games, you can become aggressive. That depression is going absolutely through the roof, especially in the Western world, where we're spending less time connecting with each other directly and doing this fake sort of communication a lot of the time, where we're spending one line and or using emojis to communicate our feelings. And we're getting lots of data and studies showing that we need to, as human beings, we need to communicate in depth about our feelings, and we don't really do that anymore. It's like a strange thing. Why would you want to talk about your feelings? Because it's good for you. It's good to be known. So one of the things I like to do is kind of describe things in maybe extreme ways so that it hits people, because some people think that they are not doing things that are bad for them. So one of the things I like to say is emojis are really bad for you. You know, those heart shapes and the smiley faces and things like that. What you're doing by communicating like that is you're reducing your emotions to symbols. It's almost like we've gone back to the caveman times when, you know, we go ooh, ooh, ah, and, you know, say a few words and draw a few pictures. And I don't want to insult people, because I suppose we're all using them, but it's really dangerous, and it spills out to the real world, because people no longer, you might think, oh, I do that on WhatsApp only, and then in the real world I communicate properly. But you hardly see that nowadays. Even, you know, in people I know, that we don't talk to each other anymore as much as we used to. And we think we've done our job in terms of communication when we've sent our one-line message about whatever, and put a few emojis to follow up with, you know. But that's not really communicating. And you can check this in your own WhatsApp groups or whatever groups you're in, you know, messaging groups. When you have I don't know, a happy birthday message, loads of people reply to that. But when you have something more complicated, the conversation goes quiet. Why is that? I don't know if you find that, Len, but I certainly find that all the time, unless I go in a very specialist group where people communicate a bit more. But even in those specialist groups, like the happiness Facebook groups, people are not really, they usually a few likes and a little bit of messaging, but not really expressing themselves too much. So I don't want to be just about the problems. I really want to talk about solutions from different spiritual backgrounds and influences of mine. So one of them is a quote that I like to give, is that, so from Islam to begin with, Prophet Muhammad said at one point, peace be upon him, that one of you should accompany a brother to help him in some affair of his is better for him than spending 2 months in retreat in my mosque. So maybe that's a bit of a mouthful. What he was saying is that, like, don't just spend time by yourself in a mosque. Go out there and help people and be with people and walk with people. So there's value in physically walking with people, accompanying people, which you can't do on a screen. And you get all these different experiences on the way when you're walking with people, maybe through a park. There's that shared experience, and it brings up all sorts of opportunities for connection. Helping people is so important. What we've fallen into the trap of when you are on a screen, it's all about entertaining yourself, and you slowly become selfish and you don't connect, and you can't even communicate your ideas with people who have different opinions to yours, because you're so into having everything for yourself. Entertain me, I have the rights, and it's not about be giving. And when you're not giving, you lose the ability to be part of a community, to share people's ideas and be at one with people, even if you disagree a little bit. So yeah, that's one thing. My time is running out really quickly. One of the few things I want to talk about is I spent a couple of years in the Middle East in a village where we had animals going past each other. We were growing things all the time, and I got so much closer to animals. Before, I've been born and brought up in London, wouldn't even touch an animal before, like pick up a pigeon or something. By the end of that experience, I was completely changed, and I felt a lot more connected with everything, the environment. And when you're connected with the environment, you realize that you're also connected with human beings. And actually, the people there were a lot more connected with each other because they were part of this shared kind of experience of the world. We're all brothers and sisters. We're not just individuals stuck in our little screens by ourselves. So how we experience the natural world, and if we think we're part of the natural world and the nature and the environment, then we realize we're also part of this massive human family. We're all brothers and sisters, and that helps us connect better. And so I just throw in a Buddhist quote that goes, when a man has pity on all living creatures, then only is he noble. And so many religions teach this need for being kind to animals, and it's shown in psychological tests that if you're evil to animals or horrible to animals, actually is a sign that is one of the signs that you're a psychopath. That might sound extreme, but like if you're not quite a psychopath, willing to kill people, at least if you don't have that ability to be kind to animals, you should be worried about your ability to be kind to other human beings. And in my last few seconds, I'll throw in a quote from Judaism: don't use the conduct of a fool as a precedent. So what's that got to do with anything? We follow social media because everybody else is following social media. So don't just follow people, especially if they're making a mistake. Don't do the same mistake. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for listening to that.
Lovely. Great.
I think I talk like a train, isn't it? I just go on and on and on and on, trying to squeeze in everything. But anyway, I'll learn as I go along. I like your style. You're very relaxed, Len.
Thank you. That's kind of you.
So
we've got a question from somebody called Energy Farmer who says, why should we have a certain amount of time on a screen?
Cool. So Sindus is going to try to click on that. Here we go. So you can get it. Yes, you got it on the right screen. Excellent, and it's on there. So, and then you have to get back onto the other screen. See if you can do that, Sundus. And then you press. So, Len, would you like to go first?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is my personal view. Here we go, Mr. Energy Farmer or Energy Farmer. Thank you for the question. We welcome to this show here today, and you're allowed to have, in a free world we live in a free country world, as much time as you want, as you need on a screen. We are not telling you how much time or how much you should or should not have on a screen. But what we would like to bring home is there has to be a sense of balance. I said earlier in the show that we have found that screens drain people's energies. You will feel tired of sitting behind a screen for hours and hours, whether it's playing a game, watching YouTube videos, engaging with others in chat rooms. It does drain your energy. And at some point, it's important for you to get away from that screen, to go and find some way to replenish your energy on a spiritual level, or esoteric level, or whatever social, psychological level, just so that you are able to function in a proper way, in a normal way during the day without feeling drained, exhausted, tired. There's physical tiredness. There's also an element of soul tiredness. And I do find that this energy that is drained from you is much deeper than just a physical tiredness. And it's important for you to know where you draw the lines, where's your balance, where's your safe point, when to put this aside and turn the phone away or off, and go and enjoy life with others, having a connection with the people that you are with, people in your field, in your home, and engage with them, engage with the trees, engage. Some people enjoy gardening. Go and do something outside of a screen that allows you to restore that energy, bring it back to you. We have a dog, so we take our dog for a walk a couple of times a day, and we engage with this animal, and it's the most wonderful thing to be a part of something other than yourself. So that is pretty much my answer to the scene.
Cool. Yeah, I really agree with so much of what you're saying. So Cindis, do you want to do the timer thing again? So he's finished. Oh, she can't hear you by this. We have to figure this one out. So because all the sound's getting in. No, it's not your fault. It's getting into my ears, you see. So she can't hear. So we'll have to figure that one out. I think we'll have one earphone next time each. That's a pretty good idea. So yeah. Okay, so go for it. Yes. So first of all, I like to say a bit like Len was saying in the beginning, this is really not us telling you what to do. This show is all about what can we do to spread as much happiness as possible and also make the world a better place. So we're already seeing that if we get the balance wrong, so I'm a big fan of technology. I do spend time on the computer. I'm trying to program all sorts of cool stuff which uses screens, and it will encourage people to use screens in those particular ways. So it is really much it's very much about the balance and what's going to be healthy for you. And so the way I always talk about principles that help us decide how we should achieve that balance. And those principles for me, just to reiterate that idea about go and help people. When you're there just for yourself, then what you do is you get really self-absorbed and you don't care about the world, and then you actually make really bad mistakes for yourself. So if it was you only care about yourself, then what you might end up doing is saying like, right, I'm just going to go in a dark room and I'm going to put on Netflix 24/7 and not talk to anybody. I don't need to talk to my neighbors and I don't talk about anything else. Now you can do that, but we're finding more and more people who make those kind of choices make themselves really miserable, get depressed. They're not. So when you do things for other people, a whole set of events start happening, which is you push yourself out of your comfort zone, you learn from other people, you talk to people that you wouldn't talk to, you have all sorts of great conversations, and you not always at the straight away. You don't always have great conversations in 1 second. So that's probably why a lot of people are put off from having these different conversations with different kinds of people. But if you have the intent of not really serving yourself, but helping people, you stick with that conversation and eventually you get something from it. So I just want to like push this idea of being of service, and that is in all sorts of ancient teachings. If you are somebody who gives, you will find paradise in this life. So when I say paradise, I mean you will have a sense of happiness that sticks. Oh, 3 minutes went. Wow. Okay, I didn't even check the time, so I'm going to stop there. Cool. All right, so hopefully, Energy Farmer, hopefully you like that question, those answers. If you disagree with those answers, please say so. This is like a very casual to and fro. We're really interested in what you think about the answers, etc., etc. Now, we do have a really cool way of getting questions if we don't have new questions, but I did say to Sundus, who's my controller here, my 8-year-old daughter, she said she has a question. I don't know what the question is. Sundus, would you like to say your question? Go for it. So you can take the mic on. Have a go. Just say your question.
What does hustle mean?
Okay, so I'll have to translate that one. Okay, so that's my 8-year-old daughter. I'm not sure how Len will be able to. So basically, there's a word used for reverence called hazur, which means like how we refer to a special kind of spiritual leader called a khalifa. It's like a pope, but for Muslims. And so I didn't actually check what the question would be, so I'm not sure. That's kind of the fun of it. So I'm not sure if there's one that I can explain or Len can explain more, other than it just means your holiness in English, I suppose. Yeah, that's what it means.
Your eminence, that kind of thing. It's like a religious papal title, if anything. Okay.
There you go, Pen. You can't hear Len, but he gave a great answer as well. He said, like your eminence. That's a really posh and grown and religious people use those kind of words. So thank you, Len, for explaining to my daughter. Okay, so let's get to the spinner. So do you know where the spinner is in this? Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Oh, it's got a bit smaller than before. Maybe. Oh, I know what to do. Maybe let's. If you make it big again, if you pop it up. Oh, that's cool. All right. And do you want to spin it? So you can't hear the amazing sound effects of it spinning this time because it's all in my ears. But you will see what the question is. Ooh. So, basically. You find your soulmate. I love this question. All right, okay. So maybe we should post it. People can remember that. How do you find your soulmate? Can you do that on this side? Should we do it on this side? Let's put it on this side. Let's go all the way here. I'll type this in.
The private chat at the bottom should be able to type it in, yeah.
Find your soulmate. Question mark there. Posted, and then go on. I'll let you click on it. Great. So everybody knows what we're talking about. And now you have to go to the timer, I suppose. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got the thing. We don't need to see the spinner anymore. Yeah. So let's see if we can get back to the right one. 3 minutes. Len, would you like to go first?
Right, here we go. How to find
Press
your
start.
soulmate. Well, I think all of us go through the point, a place in our lives where you meet someone, you think you're attracted to someone, you end up going into a relationship with someone only for it to break up, and you end up making a bad breakup. People fall out of love, and people drift apart. So after 2 or 3 or 4 of those, people end up pretty damaged. And I had to come to a place where I eventually sat down one day and I had this discussion with my higher self. Now, in order to understand the higher self, that's a different lecture altogether or a different discussion altogether. I'm not going to tell you, but I asked my higher self, is there someone for me that would be a lifetime partner, company that will go with me through my life, where we can be together for the rest of our lives? And I was given the answer, yes. I then asked the question, when will we meet? And I was actually given the answer 6 months from now, in April of the following year. It was about end of October, November, the previous year. So the question must be asked in order for you to receive the answer. So you have to put it out there to the universe. Now, so you could have prayer as a means of asking. In my case, I did the meditative practice of asking my higher self. I received a few deliberate answers, and 6 months later, we met. I was actually 6 months before we met given the letters AIN would be in the name. I was given that there would be a child as well. So I was looking for that, and also there would be an astrological compatibility. Now, it's very important for us to understand that when you use astrology as a way to do compatibility charts and to see where people are compatible with their energies, that's a brilliant way to do so. And I have found that to be very helpful and useful for me. So I now have a partner that we are very well compatible emotionally, intellectually, romantically, spiritually. So we are on the same page in many aspects here. It's not just about a physical infatuation and then the physical infatuation fizzles and then there's nothing. It's important to understand you have to be compatible on these many dimensional levels in order for the compatibility to be perfect, to be working well. The better your compatibility through a natal chart, the bigger the chances that you will end up having a great life together without having to feel you have to work hard. The only time people find they are working hard to maintain the relationship is because they are not really compatible to begin with. Why are they together? Find someone that your soulmate is and be together. That's pretty much my experience from that.
This is fun, isn't it? The timer, eh? It's like racing. It'll answer the question in time. Maybe we'll go for 5 minutes, but I think I like 3 minutes. So
3 minutes is
bad.
fine, yeah.
Not bad. Yeah.
So what's your take on this? Tell us what you think. How do you do this?
All right. Okay. So the first thing is that I like to start off with this idea that we've accepted somehow in the West that there's this. Actually, there is a soulmate, somebody floating out there who you are destined to be a partner with. It's like this magical belief that even people who have got no spiritual kind of feeling, they somehow believe, and it's called romantic love. It's kind of there was a group of people about 150 years ago or something who decided that there is this thing called romantic love. We didn't always believe this, and somehow we will meet, you and your soulmate, and that person is perfect for you. And it doesn't really end there. There's a great talk by a kind of a modern day philosopher called Alain de Botton. He does School of Life and stuff like that. He's very funny when he talks about this. He was kind of analyzing this whole idea of romantic love, and he was saying that not only is there one person floating out there that you are destined to be with, it's just that when you are together also that you should be able to communicate feelings telepathically or something, and you shouldn't have to express your feelings. They should know you because they are the one. And I think that way of looking at the world puts a huge amount of pressure on relationships. Like, you're not going to explain yourself. You're not going to, discuss your feelings because they somehow should know your feelings. So that's kind of a long introduction. How should you? I don't believe that. I think we make good relationships, and the way we do that by starting off the right way. And the way we do that is by finding people who agree with your principles, who not just agree with your principles, like in the Quran, for example, says good men are for good women and good women are for good men, i.e., if you're a good person, you attract good people. So if you have good principles, you will find equally good people to have a relationship. And if you have a bad attitude, you will necessarily find those kind of people with bad attitude. It's not like an amazing piece of logic. If you think about it, say you're a drug dealer or you're really into drugs, then you'll bump into people who also use all sorts of illicit drugs, and then they're also going to come with all sorts of bits of baggage that relates to that. So if you're a good person, you have good ideas, you're honest, you're going to find somebody who appreciates those kind of qualities. All right. I like that question. We have Yusuf Games, and I have to try to get to the next screen. So Yusuf Games is an old student of mine from the Middle East in Jordan, and he joins in every now and then. So do you want to? So Len, can you see the question?
I can see the question. Yes.
Awesome. So do you want to? So you can get going, Len, and then Sundus will find the timer thing. Go on, get to the timer, and yeah. Awesome. Well done.
Here we go. The short answer of it, from the biblical and from the Christian perspective: no, soulmates are not mentioned in the Bible as such, but there are some references to relationships where people's souls were connected to each other in a very profound way. I personally experienced that when you meet someone and sometimes you feel as if you say, I know you. Often that is a past life connection. Now, to understand where I come from the esoteric, Kabbalistic, spiritual mysteries traditions, there's a thing called reincarnation. People agree, people don't agree. But from a hypnotherapy point of view, because I'm also a hypnotherapist, where we often find that problems in this life comes from issues in a past life. And when we explore the past life, we can resolve that issue. We do have situations where people have contracted with each other before they come into this life to be together, to be partners, and that they have contracted to meet one another. And so soulmates do meet. Soulmates do actually fulfill those contracts. So from the hypnotherapy perspective, from the subconscious, that happens. It's one of those things that we find very often. It comes up in some of our therapy sessions. So from a biblical point of view, not necessarily, but you can pick up certain situations where people have contracted to meet and be soulmates. Soulmates are not always romantic. A soulmate could be a friend, a lifelong friend, a lifelong companion to work with you. It could be a sibling. It could be a brother or a sister or a cousin or a relative, which you shared a past life with, that you contracted to go with you through this life so that you can be together and help one another for the purpose of helping one another. It's not necessarily romantic. So that is pretty much what I can contribute from this end. If there's anything you have to say on the Quran's perspective, that would be a very interesting contribution as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So Sundus, do you want to set the timer again? It's quite a busy job, isn't it? All right, go for it. Yeah. Okay. So as far as I know, the Quran, I've never read anything in the Quran that actually says there's such thing as a soulmate, but it doesn't mean that, for example, there are sayings of Prophet Muhammad or in the case of Prophet Muhammad, one of his wives, Aisha, was seen in a dream, a piece of green silk face, which was impressed through a green silk. And green silk in spiritual terms green is the color of nature. It's actually the name of my daughter's name is Sundus, which means the silk, green silk that you wear in heaven. So it's kind of like it's all related to nature. Green is nature's color, and it's also Islam's color and heaven's color and all this kind of stuff. So there are dreams, and sometimes we're guided to certain people to be married to or have a relationship with, because that's what the sense I'm talking about when I think maybe Yusuf is talking about a soulmate in terms of a romantic relationship. But as I said, it's not, the idea of a soulmate is not really compatible with Islam, because we're told by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that when you look for somebody to marry, don't look for their beauty or their wealth or even their position in society. Look for their faith, like the quality of their faith, because that's gonna really help you. Because let's think about it, when you're in a relationship, there are so many difficulties that you have to navigate. Like, maybe it's quite hard to even imagine when you're not married or in a relationship how difficult it can be. So you've got kids I've got a baby daughter who wakes up so many times at nighttime. Like, are you going to be really selfish and not help out, or is there something in your belief system that says you should wake up anytime you have the opportunity to help? So maybe a simple way of saying it is, if most belief systems are all about being kind and generous and being kind to your wife and your husband or whatever it is, going out of your way to be nice. And so if you choose somebody based on those kind of qualities, then you're likely to have a much easier time being married. But if you find somebody who's really all about themselves, you're going to find that you're going to be clashing all the time. It's just realistic. That was fun. All right.
Yes. It's one of those things where when you are not meant to be with someone, the signs are there. They will tell you. If you find yourself clashing with someone and your energies are not compatible, then you need to realistically reevaluate that relationship and make the decision that is appropriate, making a good decision, making an informed decision, but you feel it in your heart whether you know it's right or not. So this is where it is.
Cool. And I agree with that. There are also some signs about where you should go. It's better to see things beforehand as much as you can, rather than afterwards. But anyway, Yusuf says thank you. So thank you, Len, for your answer as well. And so
you're most welcome, Yusuf.
And so there are Muslims on the show, a lot of them. So they're starting off with this thing, salam. It means peace be upon you, which is, Len, have you ever heard that in Christianity? Because I've heard that in a church once, peace be upon you.
Peace be upon you is something we use a lot within, I think, the Anglican communities, the Catholic communities, and so on. The word is rooted in Aramaic. I think Salem, Jerusalem is rooted in that, which is city of peace, if anything. So yes, the word does, it's all about
I've just learned something. I never knew that's Jerusalem, Salem are connected. I've heard of the Hebrew version, which is Shalom Aleichem, or Shalom, which is
Shalom,
Salam, Shalom, all this kind of stuff.
It's all of that. It's rooted in the original Aramaic. So yeah, that it goes back to a lot of. I think I must have been either an Egyptian or a Hebrew in a past life, because I do sometimes find that certain phrases tend to stick with me or resonate with me, and I think that's where that comes from.
Cool.
Interestingly enough, yeah.
Okay, so there's a question. Can you see the question? It says, "Agreed marriage is a contract between belief." Is that? I'm not sure. Is that a question? Oh, is that more of a question somewhere? It says, I think there's a comma and then something. Oh, okay. So scroll down. So let's see if you can scroll down because I can see there's a bit more to it. If you click on that again.
Yes.
Oh, yes. There we go. Oh, there's a second. No. So Planet Adams, I don't know what. You click on the second one. Yeah, click on the second one. So there's two parts to it. Marriage. So I'll there's a first part which is agreed. Marriage is a contract between believers, and then we put on this bit on the screen. In marriage, it is easy to break. With faith, marriage is stronger. Oh, I think it's more like a comment. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't look like a question. It feels like it's a contribution, a commentary contribution to the team. Interesting.
Cool. Cool. Thank you, Planet Adams. So now click on the next one, Sindus. Alrighty. So we can absorb the question first. I'll just read it out aloud. I also learned something new because I always thought about soulmates is just about love, but it also refers to other things. So thank you. I have been educated on new things. I think that's particularly referring to what you said about like soulmates and not just romantic relationships. So cool. Thank you, Yusuf.
It's simply from a hypnotherapy subconscious past life thing. It could be anything that you arranged and agreed as a soul before coming into this lifetime with other people, with other souls, in order to have shared experiences with. Because as souls, we bring certain things with us, and that contract would include experiences you want to have or lessons you want to learn from a soul perspective. So, and having those people in you is part of that contract. So you have those people with you in your environment that you've contracted with, and those are all soul contracts at the end of the day. And that includes your siblings, your mother and your father, as well as a romantic husband and wife or whatever.
Cool. All right. So I don't think we've got another question yet. So I think we're ready for the spinner. Let's go for it. Yeah, we don't need it too big. We could make it big, but it doesn't matter because we're going to copy paste the answer or the question in a second to the. It's tiny at the moment, so you got no idea what it says. But it says, "Oh, let me copy it from here." Actually, oh yeah, oh good. She's doing it. She's doing a really good job. Copy. Okay, I'll copy. Control C. Yeah, and then you have to go to the other screen.
Control V.
Cool. And then you have to click on that. And we have the question: how do you live your best life? Awesome. All right. So now you have to go back to the timer. Can you do that? Do you know the 3-minute one on the top? Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Oh yes, Len, you want to go first? Sorry.
Here we go. All right. Yeah. I have found from a hypnotherapy and a soul perspective that you live your best life when you are aligned with your soul purpose, with your soul vibration, with the essence of who you truly are. Very often people are angry. They end up being murderers and violent criminals, and the problem is always from within. They are not aligned with their own soul essence, and in order for them to stop being whatever criminals, hateful, violent people, they need to realign themselves, go find out who they are. You know, they talk about people finding themselves, and they'll go and trek in the wind, have a Buddhist retreat in Nepal for a year or two and go find themselves. And very often that would be the solution. They use ayahuasca retreats in South America for people to do the same thing. But your best life can be by living aligned with who you are within your soul energy. And that is always the answer. And for many people that we see, clients that we see within our hypnotherapy practice that come with problems to us, that is the advice we give. And very often when we have our practitioner, our sessions with them in our practice, we guide them to have a connection with their souls and have a conversation and give us their questions, and the soul would answer them and tell them what they need to do that they are not doing in order to help them realign themselves with their soul purpose. It could be a job that is in the wrong place for them. It could be they're living in the wrong environment, the wrong place, the wrong city, and they needed to change their jobs or move to a different city and be more closely connected with nature in order to realign themselves. But there are various things that help people find that connection with their soul, with their source energies. But that is the answer in a nutshell.
Cool. You know, even before you said the word purpose, I was like, I'm going to say the word purpose, you know, your purpose in life. And I was like, oh no, it's going to sound like I'm copying him.
No, I promise you, we did not rehearse this beforehand.
But my answer is going to be a little bit different. Don't worry. But it's going to use the word purpose. Okay.
Good.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Sundus, you should. You're the controller.
Reset.
Oh, I'm so used to controlling things myself, and I let you. But I'm having so much fun, and the time's almost up. So you know, this is pretty amazing. So the hour's flown by. Oh, you've started already. Okay, so people spend a lot. You find or you live your best life when you work according to your design, your ultimate purpose. So we spend a lot of time in the world. We think it's like the hardest question in the world to answer, like, what is your purpose? But religions throughout time have told us, or different spiritual ways of looking at the world have always told us to be at one with God. Now, that might sound like, how does that even help you? So what it means to be at one with God is quite well defined in many ways in Islam, because the word Islam means two really interesting things. On one side, it means to submit your will. That means to let go of your ego. Now, loads of people from different backgrounds, religious or not, have realized that your ego, there's different ways of describing it. Like psychologists might describe an ego in a certain way, but your ego in the sort of a layman's term would be to your selfishness and your individualistic way of looking at the world. And that, again and again, you will find makes you take on a path that makes you miserable. But when you let go of that and you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about serving other people, you automatically make really good choices. So for example, let's just get all materialistic. If you are in the habit of serving other people, you will know other people's problems, and then you will know how to solve them, and you can commoditize that. You can turn that into a business. But if you are in your own planet, just serving yourself all the time, you won't know how to serve people, and you won't know how to benefit people and actually, you know, have a positive effect on the world. So there's so many ways of looking at that. And so how is being at one with God going to serve you or help you? So being at one with God in all faiths means actually serving humanity, because God doesn't actually need anything from you. He just wants you to be humble. He wants you to be generous, and all these positive attributes. And when you do that, you will find yourself being happier. Happiness is a strange thing, and most of us are really bad at it, especially in the West, because we've got this idea, a very narrow idea of what makes us happy, and that stopped us understanding what truly makes us happy. And psychologists tell you things like communication, being, you know, connecting with other people, and my time's run out, so do stuff like that.
Ding. Yes.
Okay, so 59 past. I'm going to break my fast, which itself is I'll stop talking for a minute. You know, do you want to say anything else, Len, for the last minute?
Last minute, I just want to talk about the ego, because from a psychological point of view, a psychiatrist will tell you this as well, and we've actually learned to do that within a hypnotherapy point of view, is understanding that the self, the sense of self, has your conscious mind and the subconscious. The subconscious is the 95% of your total reality of who you are, and then 5% of your waking conscious reality is your conscious mind. Your ego part is in there. And what I do find is that you can actually have a conversation with the ego. And we do so very often because we find the ego has a role to play in the full totality of who we are at soul level. The ego is the gatekeeper to make sure that unwanted things don't pass through the gates. They are the gatekeepers, the doorkeepers, the guardians who make sure that unwanted energies, unwanted entities don't pass through into the subconscious, because the subconscious itself is a doorway for the superconscious part, the big part of who you are. So we have to often ask the ego permission to connect to the subconscious in order to help our clients. And I know somebody actually had a conversation with one's ego. There's a YouTube video clip with Suzanne Spooner where she has a chat with the ego, and the ego needs to be recognized for what it is, instead of, according to the mystery traditions, thumped down and hammered down into submission. Recognize them for what it is. They play an important role. Treat them with respect and ask them kindly to help with this process of allowing someone to speak to the subconscious in order to get answers for issues they may have in their life. So this is pretty much important to recognize that the ego is there, is part of the whole, and needs to be respected and recognized for that. Very good point that you brought up there, Planet Adams.
Yeah, so Planet Adams has got a few more comments. I'll just click through them. I won't read them just for... Oh, no, I'm doing it too quick. Because we have ended the show, but really appreciate everybody's feedback. Actually, you could probably see it from the live chat anywhere on YouTube. So as my guest, is there, besides those last few words, would you like people to contact you? You didn't have a website, but I can imagine they could we've got your name in the description. Do you think it would be a good idea for them to contact you through Facebook or anything like that? What do you think?
Can I give you my website? I'll type it in. Inside my website, you will find all my other contact details.
And also, I could add it to the description anyway.
There you go.
Cool. Oh, okay. It's in the private chat, so let me copy that in. There we go. And paste it there. And I think there we go. All right. So I'm so grateful for you being here, Len. I think it was a lot more fun than usual, actually talking to somebody. So
it's always good to get other people's perspectives on something like this. And it's great talking with you and sharing this with you. Thank you for inviting me. All
right. So till next time, catch you next week. Peace be upon you. Have a great week. Bye.
Salam alaikum. Goodbye.
Wa alaikum assalam. Oh, yeah. You go on. You have to press the off screen, whatever you call it. End stream. Oh, on streams. Oh, I didn't tell you about that. End stream right over there. Go on, I'll let you press it. Ready? You press it.